It's been 70 shows in a row. That's right, 70 shows in a row to start 2025, over 740 shows total. How has this podcast had an impact on our business? How has it had an impact on my life? I've got that and so much more for you today on this edition of the Inside BS Show. Hey now, it's Dave Lorenzo. I'm the godfather of growth, and today it's 70 shows and we're discussing the power of a podcast. That's right. I'm going to share with you what daily podcasting has done for our business and for my life. And I'm going to give you some insight into what's coming up for the next 70 shows and beyond. It is not lost on me that I've done over 740 podcasts over the last 10 plus years. Now, the interesting thing about that for me is because I've done them in fits and starts, I don't really have a good idea for the value that the podcast has provided to me and to my business. I know in the past, years ago, when I did the show, I would get business from people who listen to the podcast, but for whatever reason, human nature, inertia, once I started getting busy, I would let the podcast go by the wayside. I did the same thing with YouTube. I got 3 really great clients from YouTube, and then because I had those 3 clients, I was too busy to continue to do daily YouTube videos anymore, and so YouTube kind of faded into the background. I regret those 2 things because I think the momentum would have absolutely been productive for me, been productive for my business. So these episodes that you're listening to now, these shows that I'm doing to start 2025, 70 so far in a row, they're bricks that are going into the structure that I'm building that will be my future business. And that's the way I view the podcast. Let's talk about the results from the last 2.5 months of doing shows every day. The first result that is tangible, that I can feel, is the engagement of the audience that listens. So you who are listening right now, you're into this relationship that we have. And that's the way I view this show. I view this as a conversation I'm having with you, a one-on-one conversation that we have every day. And for some people who listen, the conversation takes place right at 6 a.m. when the show comes out. For some of you, it takes place when you go to the gym a little bit later in the day. Others of you get to it when you can, and maybe you listen to 3 or 4 of our conversations in a row, and I think that's fantastic. It's up to you, the frequency and the style that you choose to engage in our relationship within, but it's a true relationship for me. I expressed some vulnerability. I think it's the first time that I expressed vulnerability during the course of the last 2.5 months. Last week, I had a day where I made a bunch of sales calls and nobody was interested, and I got an enormous amount of rejection. I had a couple other bumps in the road business-wise, and it was a rough day, and I shared that vulnerability with you, and you responded. A number of people, more than 10, reached out to me with emails, texts, voicemails, some phone calls, and you wanted to know if I was okay, if things were going well. And all I did was express what I was feeling during the course of that day. And I know that you feel the same way. And I think that's why the show connected with so many people. I think it's why I connected with you, because you've had days where nothing's gone well and you have to keep it to yourself. Normally, I would just keep it to myself. I would just shut the hell up and keep moving forward. And that's what you always do, I'm sure. But this day, I had the opportunity to do the podcast because I had put the podcast off until the end of the day. And I shared with you the resilience that was needed in order for me to go from one day to the next. And you responded to it. So the engagement that I'm seeing from the people that I'm having conversations with. Your reaction to these conversations has been tremendous. I get encouraging emails, encouraging comments, and encouraging feedback from people who are friends of mine who listen to the show about all the topics. The last 2 days, I've gotten an enormous amount of response from folks who listened to the 2 episodes I did at the volleyball tournament, and everybody wants to know what happened with Miami Hype at the volleyball tournament. You got to stay with me until the end because I'm going to share that result with you at the end of today's show. But that's the thing. You're interested in what's going on. You're a part of my life, and I'm a part of yours, and I deeply appreciate that. And the engagement is the first thing that I'll take away from this, and that I think if you're going to do a podcast, you can expect, as long as you do it and you show up with some consistency and you let people into your lives, that you let people into your life, and everyone else who's listening lets people into their lives. You can expect that people will engage with you. And I didn't expect that because I had done 600 and some odd shows before this year. And because I hadn't shared personal stuff, that engagement level wasn't there. So the level of engagement that I'm receiving from people is tremendous, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Our listeners have more than tripled since January 1st, 2025. This show is coming out on March 11th, and since January 1st, our listeners have tripled, and that's fantastic. So listeners are growing, which tells me that you're sharing the show with other people. I deeply appreciate that, and I thank you for that. And that's how our show will grow and has grown, is you spreading the word, you sending the show via a link in an email or telling your friends about it and they look it up. So I appreciate that, and our listeners have tripled in the last 70 days. There are lots of people now, and this is point number 3 about the results that I'm receiving. Lots of people now are pitching me to be guests on the show, and 99% of these folks who are pitching me are terrible. They're not going to work out as guests. The people who are pitching them don't package them appropriately. They may have some value to provide, but I get to select my own guests for the show. I have no shortage of people that I want to talk to. So you can keep pitching me. And if somebody sends me, Joe Rogan or Tony Robbins, Stephen Bartlett, if they want to appear on the show, I'll take them. But otherwise, I'll probably be the one to select the guests. I'm probably not going to accept a lot of guests who are pitched. But I'm keeping my mind open just in case, but I'm getting a lot of pitches. I get 2 or 3 people a day, mostly submitted by their publicists, by their representatives to me. And it's interesting. It's interesting and it's informative, and I'm grateful that people are listening to the show, so they're pitching me. I've had deep conversations with people who we've interviewed, and there are 2 types of people we interview on the show. The first type are people who I want to grow my professional and personal relationships with. So people I know, people I like, who I want to have a deeper relationship with personally and professionally. And then the second type are experts who I think will be valuable for you as a business owner. And this show has allowed me to connect with those experts, have conversations with them, deep, powerful, meaningful conversations. And those conversations have been valuable, not just for you, but for me as well. So I want to do more of those interviews. Nikki G and I do an interview every Wednesday, but I'd like to up the ante and try and do at least 2 or maybe 3 interviews a week with people who are interesting, who I want to develop deeper relationships with, because that's been a really rewarding aspect of the first 70 shows of 2025. Now let's talk about what I'm doing for the future. So the things that have worked really, really well have been the shows that I've done on location. By far, the last 2 days have been the strongest reaction to any shows that I've done. You hearing me live at a tournament for my daughter's volleyball team was the best reaction to any 2 shows that I've done in the last 70 days. So I'm going to do more real-time stuff. I'm going to record more shows from more locations more often. The second thing that I'm going to do in the future is documenting progress. Shows like this, shows like the Bad Day Show. Everybody really likes that. They want to know what's going on. People are basically nosy. They're basically curious. They're basically gossips. That's why tabloid magazines like People, Star, and the National Enquirer are the best-selling magazines and websites that are visited the most. TMZ is the most watched TV show for that sort of thing, Entertainment Tonight. Everybody wants to know what's going on in other people's lives. So I'll let you in. I'll share with you what's going on in my life. You'll get more of that because that's what you like. I want to, at some point in 2025, I want to try my hand at doing video episodes. I don't know that I can do every show as a video, but my goal is at some point in 2025 to do at least 2 shows a week on video. There'll be Inside BS shows that you get the audio for, but if you want to go to YouTube and you want to watch them, you'll get the video as well. Now, each week on Wednesday, when we release the in-depth interview that Nikki G and I do, that's a video as well, and that appears on its own channel. So if you go to YouTube right now and you search, you'll find the Inside BS show on video with all of the Wednesday shows recorded on video. And there are even video shows that I've done from years past that are on that Inside BS YouTube channel. But the video shows that I do of myself when I'm solo or if I do a behind-the-scenes video, I'm going to pop those videos up on my own personal YouTube channel. So that's at The Dave Lorenzo. The Dave Lorenzo is the YouTube handle. And that's my YouTube channel where I've got over 18,000 followers. So I'm going to do some shows on video. I'm going to practice them. I'll have some false starts. I'll have some trial runs. But I'll let you know when they're out. And I'm going to try to do at least 2 shows a week where we do some video as well. I'd also love to do a live stream. Now, I don't know how to do a live stream. I've never done a live stream, so I'm going to have to figure all that out. But I'd love to do 1 live stream a week where you can tune in and I could be live and we could potentially have some interaction. You can be with me in a place that's really cool when I'm there live. That would most likely be on YouTube, although I'm not totally leaving out the possibility of doing it on a social media channel as well. But I'd love to do a live stream at some point in 2025, so that's on my radar as well. And then the one thing that I'm going to work on immediately, I'm going to start this month, is I need to begin to make guest appearances at least once or twice a week on other podcasts, because that's how we can attract more listeners to the show. And I think I'm onto something here with the show because of the reaction that I'm getting from all of you. So I'd love to bring new people into our community. And the way I'm going to do that is through going on other podcasts. And the call to action from other podcasts is to get to people who are interested in podcasts, especially business podcasts, and have them listen to this show. This show's subscription link is getinsidebs.com. And I have an email opt-in there. So if you want to be emailed with all the updates, and if you want to be invited to special events, you got to go to getinsidebs.com. That's where you can get a daily email with an update on the daily show. But I'm also going to put links on there where you can subscribe on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts as well, just so that people have other options to get the show. But those email subscriptions, you're going to get an email every day. It comes out at 6 a.m. Eastern Time every day. And we're also going to use that to invite you to special listener-only events. So if you're not subscribed, go to getinsidebs.com, getinsidebs.com. Go there, opt in to get the daily email, and you'll get a link with the last 3 shows in it every day. So you can listen to the most immediate new show. You can listen to the last 2 shows before that. But also, we're going to offer special events just to our listeners. And the only way you'll find out about it is if you're subscribed via email. So that's what's coming up in the future. The first 70 episodes have been fantastic. The first 70 of 2025 have been fantastic. I'm grateful to you for joining me in this conversation every day. This week, what do we have coming up? Well, I'm going to be on location. It's tomorrow. I'm heading to New York. I'm getting on a plane today, and I'll be in New York tomorrow. I'll be doing a show most likely from my hotel room. I don't have any locations set up, but I'll be doing a show from my hotel room tomorrow in New York City. And I have a speech to deliver on Wednesday of this week in New York City, working with a client up there as well. So I have those 2 things going on. And then Thursday, I will be back here in the studio, Thursday and Friday. We have a great guest on Wednesday. You're going to need to join us to see the guest. If you've ever wanted to get money from a bank, you'd like to get a loan or develop a relationship with a banker, we're going to go through all of that, teach you how to do that on Wednesday. I've got an interview with a great banker who's a dear friend of mine coming up on Wednesday. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Now let me tell you what happened yesterday with Miami Hype. So there were 2 games yesterday for the Miami Hype 13U state team, which is what my daughter's on. And they won the first match. They won the first game. So each game is 3 sets, or 2 out of 3 sets. They won the first in 3 sets, very close, and they won the semifinals. In the finals, it went to 3 sets. They lost the first one. They came back and won the second one, and it went to 3 sets. And they unfortunately just ran out of gas, and they lost in the finals yesterday. So they finished second overall in their age category. Still, of all of the teams that were participating, second is fantastic. They've won 1 tournament this year already. This is the second time they've come close. So we've got another tournament next weekend, and we've got probably a half a dozen more over the course of the year before we head to AAU in June up in Orlando. So stay tuned for more on Miami Hype 13U girls. They played phenomenally well this weekend. I'm so proud of my daughter, Dahlia, and all of her friends. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to you for joining me for 70 episodes. So 70 episodes in the bank, folks. It's been great having you with us. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for episode 71. This is the Inside BS Show. I'm Dave Lorenzo, the godfather of growth. And until I speak with you tomorrow, here's hoping you make a great living and live a great life. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Inside BS Show. My name is Dave Lorenzo. If you'd like to apply to be a part of our community, please join us by completing your application directly with me on the phone. You can call me at 786-436-1986, 786-436-1986. I can't wait to speak with you. Join us by calling me today.